welcome back to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Steve Swat. My guest this segment is Glenn Pomeroy, who is CEO of the California Earthquake Authority. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
For those viewers who may not be familiar with the CEA, you are, I guess, a quasi-governmental agency, a hybrid, really?
Right. The state of California stepped forward back in the 90s after the Northridge earthquake, mostly chased insurance companies out of the state. They didn't want anything to do with earthquake insurance anymore. So the state created this nonprofit, privately funded carrier to make earthquake insurance as affordable and available as possible to any Californian who wants to insure their home.
Well, how affordable is it? Because I understand only about 10% of Californians have earthquake insurance, and that is down significantly from, let's say, the 90s.
Yeah, you're right. Northridge was a wake-up call and produced new science, which we are required to use when we set rates. And so it is not cheap, especially in a high-risk area. It can cost actually more than it does to insure your home for all other risks, fire and so forth. So we're working really hard to make our rates more affordable so that we can get more homes protected. There's no profit motive for us. We're a nonprofit entity. We are seeking to drive down our costs to make our insurance more affordable so we get more homes protected because we know the next big earthquake is coming.
In that regard, I know there's some pending legislation in Congress that you're very interested in and concerned about, and I guess a sponsor, or at least a supporter.
It's a hugely important bill. Our senators are in front on the Senate side. We've got a big coalition of bipartisan support on the House side from California members, and it's a very important bill. It's called the Earthquake Insurance Affordability Act because it's designed to do just that, and make earthquake insurance more affordable by allowing us to get some of our unnecessary costs under control so we can pass those savings on to the policyholders in California. This bill would allow us to save $100 million per year for California homeowners who insure with us, and be a difference maker. We would get more homes protected.
And so how does it work? I understand it's really the federal government's guarantee of the insurer's debt?
Yeah, and that at first blush sounds a little scary. Actually, what the bill would do, it would be to allow us to become less reliant on something called reinsurance, which is something most folks don't have to know about. Reinsurance is just insurance for insurance companies. We're too dependent on it because we have no alternatives. This bill would allow us to reduce our reliance on expensive reinsurance that we have to pay up front each and every year, and instead have the certainty that if a huge event happened, we could borrow some funds. In the private debt markets, we'd pay that debt back over time. It would be no problem. But we'd save money up front through that by not having to buy so much expensive reinsurance every year, lower our reinsurance costs by $100 million, pass those savings on to our policyholders. The greatest thing about this is this won't cost the federal government a dime because we'll pay any amounts that we borrow back from the revenue stream that we have going forward. So it's a win-win proposition. Good for California, good for our country because we're going to get more homes protected and therefore be less reliant on a federal assistance after an event when we have all this uninsured loss. Win-win proposition.
And I know you do have bipartisan support from Republican members of Congress and the business communities and things like that. I know that you're getting some pushback, however. I was reading an op-ed in the Conservative Weekly Standard, and this op-ed referred to this as a potential Beverly Hills bailout.
Yeah, it's silly terminology, but someone's trying to be clever and raise a specter. Actually, when you read the editorial, there's no substance behind it. It just says, it can't work or it's a bad idea without providing any substance behind it. It's actually a great idea. It's common sense. It has the blessing of not only the financial advisors who advise us, but the rating agencies who rate us, who say, you get this in place, it won't jeopardize your credit rating with us at all because we know it's a fundamentally sound mechanism just to allow us to plan on a certain amount of debt financing only in the event there's a huge event in which we need it. It's what private corporations do. It's what this quasi-private corporation should do. It's a winner for California.
All right. Well, we're out of time, but it's a fascinating subject. We'll certainly watch the progress of this legislation. Glenn Pomeroy of the CEA, thanks very much for coming by.
Thanks for the time.
And thanks to our viewers for watching Comcast Newsmakers. We'll see you next time.